Airline staff send black CEO to end of line, then he drops his name and everything stops cold. What does it take for a name to silence a room? The airport terminal buzzed with the chaotic hum of travelers' suitcases clattered, announcements crackled overhead, and the air smelled of stale coffee and impatience. Marcus Reed stood at the check-in counter, his tailored suit crisp despite the red-eye flight he'd just endured. His eyes, sharp and weary, scanned the airline staffer's face. She was young, her badge reading Katie, and her smile was tight, practiced, barely masking her haste. "Sir, you'll need to join the economy line," Katie said, her voice clipped, pointing to a snaking queue across the terminal. Marcus raised an eyebrow. His first-class ticket was in his hand, the boarding pass clearly marked. He'd flown this route 100 times, always with the same airline, always with the same priority status. "I'm in the right line," he said, his tone calm but firm, sliding the boarding pass across the counter. Katie barely glanced at it. "No, sir, that's for economy passengers. Priority check-in is for first class only." Her eyes flicked over him, his dark skin, his neatly trimmed beard, the way he carried himself with quiet authority, and something in her expression hardened. Marcus felt the familiar sting. It wasn't the first time he'd been misjudged, shuffled aside, or dismissed. But today, it hit harder. He was exhausted, not just from the flight, but from a lifetime of these moments. He leaned forward, voice low. "Check the ticket again." Katie sighed, her fingers tapping impatiently on the keyboard. "Sir, I'm going to need you to step aside. You're holding up the line." Behind her, another staffer, an older man with a name tag reading Greg, nodded in agreement, his arms crossed. The line behind Marcus grew restless, murmurs rippling through the crowd. A woman in a business suit muttered about delays, her glare aimed at him. The air thickened with tension. Marcus's jaw tightened, but he didn't move. "I'm Marcus Reed," he said, his voice cutting through the noise like a blade. "CEO of Horizon Innovations. I'm on your airline's global advisory board. Check the system." The terminal seemed to freeze. Katie's fingers hovered over the keyboard, her eyes widening. Greg's arms dropped to his sides, his face paling. The murmurs from the crowd hushed, replaced by a heavy silence. Marcus didn't raise his voice, didn't need to. His name carried weight built from years of breaking barriers, leading a tech empire, and navigating rooms where he was often the only one who looked like him. Katie typed furiously, her cheeks flushing. "I'm sorry, Mr. Reed. There's been a mistake." Her voice trembled, the apology forced. Greg stepped forward, stammering, "We didn't realize, sir. Let's get you processed immediately." But Marcus wasn't done. He leaned closer, his gaze unwavering. "The mistake wasn't the system. It was you. You saw me, and you decided who I was before you even checked." His words hung in the air, sharp and undeniable. The crowd shifted uncomfortably, some looking away, others staring, caught in the raw truth of the moment. Katie's hands shook as she printed a new boarding pass, her apology now a whisper. Greg offered a nervous smile, gesturing toward the priority lounge. But Marcus didn't move. He turned to the crowd, his voice steady but laced with emotion. "This isn't just about me. It's about every person who gets pushed to the back of the line because of how they look. You don't know their story. You don't know their worth." A young black woman in the economy line, clutching a worn backpack, met his eyes. She nodded, a flicker of pride crossing her face. An older man, standing nearby, lowered his head, as if reckoning with his own assumptions. The terminal, for a moment, felt like a stage where truth had taken center stage. Marcus took his boarding pass and walked toward the lounge, but not before pausing at a wooden signboard propped against a pillar. Someone had scrawled a question in bold marker. Who holds power in a name? He stared at it, the words echoing in his mind. As he moved through the terminal, the weight of the encounter lingered. He thought of his father, who'd worked double shifts as a janitor to send him to college. He thought of the boardrooms where he'd been underestimated, the deals he'd won by sheer will. He thought of the young woman in the economy line and the countless others who faced the same silent judgments every day. In the lounge, Marcus sat by a window, watching planes taxi under the gray dawn. His phone buzzed with emails, meetings, contracts, the endless grind of leadership. But his mind was elsewhere. He wasn't just a CEO. He was a black man in a world that too often saw his skin before his story. The incident at the counter would fade, but its lesson wouldn't. Marcus knew change didn't come from one confrontation, one name dropped, one moment of reckoning. It came from persistence, from refusing to be invisible, from demanding respect not just for himself, but for everyone who'd been pushed aside. He boarded his flight, his head high, his purpose clearer than ever. The airline staff might forget his name by tomorrow, but they wouldn't forget the feeling the moment a man they dismissed made them see him, truly see him, for who he was. And somewhere in that crowded terminal, a spark had been lit, a reminder that every name, every story deserved to be heard. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.